Oh yeah, and I'm back. You are back in the tap room with Mike. I am your host, Mike. I am up actually visiting my sister this weekend, so I'm recording this intro. And then also we're going to be recording an episode, and I'll kind of get into that a little later. But I have a great episode lined up for you this week. A super awesome guy I got to have on the show, Chris Leguizamon. If you follow on Instagram, or at the Taproom podcast on Instagram, I did post a little kind of preview. So I'm going to be posting that actually tomorrow, which is Sunday, the day this is getting released. Super nice guy. Chris was a really awesome dude to have on. He does so much. He is the education program manager for Pure Brewing. He's a Cicerone, or he's an advanced Cicerone. He's a homebrew judge. He also does. He's also part of the San Diego Brewers Guild. He's a board of director member, so he's really, really awesome. So I don't want to, go too much into it, but it was a super fun time. We got to go ahead and record just like a remote episode. Really cool, being able to talk to him. His Instagram is at chris.thebeereducator on Instagram. He also has a website, christhebeereducator.com, all spelled like the normal way. But we had an absolute blast talking, and I think I've mentioned it in the episode later on that, it felt so natural, and it felt like, we had, talked before, like we were friends. And, I think I've made a new friend being able to, him and I just talking, we're talking about, potentially getting some beers when I'm down in his area. So like I said, super cool guy, but like you always start the episode, we got to start it off right. We got to crack a brewski, give it a reviewski. And for this one, because he does work for Pure, I did go to Louis Liquor off of Foothill and Cerritos. This is one from Pure Project. This one is called the Oak Tree, the Beacon, and the Dime. So it's a murky IPA, so it's a hazy, coming in at 6.5%. And just for if anybody hasn't listened to this, or if this is your first time listening, Pure Project is down in San Diego. It is absolutely amazing. So if you are from California and you have not, or SoCal, and you have not been down to Pure, get on down there. You can't crack a beer over there. They'll, pour you a beer, but it is so good. All of their hazies, they have singles, doubles, triples, quads. Be careful with the quads because they might get you because, they are deceptively they're just so good that they're kind of scary because they're so good and they're not overly boozy a lot of the time. So when you have those, you're like, dang, man, it just gets you. And they're so good. So be careful when you're drinking the quads. So this one is from Pure Project. Let's go ahead and crack her open, eh? Oh yeah, gotta love that sound. Twinkle, twinkle, baby. And the coaster I'm using today is from Noble. That was the last episode that I recorded. That was such a fun episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know it was a super long episode. It was about 2 hours and 24 minutes. But let's go ahead and jump in on this brewski here. Oh, yeah, you already know. Oh, that smells so good. I'm going to jump in. Can't wait any longer. Oh, yeah. I'm just going to say it Pure. There has not been one beer that I've tried, from Louis or down, with Pure and, or over down at Pure is what I should say, in San Diego. They have multiple locations and we talk about that in the interview. They just put out bangers. That's every time. Every time I have one of their beers, it is an absolute banger. Excuse me, had to let that burp out. And me, I don't edit stuff, so I do little here and there, depending on what's what goes down. But this beer, back to the beer, solid beer. I'm gonna give this a 9. It is delicious, and it is called one more time the Oak Tree, the Beacon, and the Dime. It is and one thing I love on the can, it says "Embrace the Merc." It is really floral, but really refreshing too. It's not obviously it's being a hazy. It's super cloudy, Really good head on it. Like it's really like you get that, you waft that, from that head. It's so good. I'm gonna go in. I gotta chug some more of this. Yeah. Man, that was good. But let's jump into the headlines. This isn't going to be a very long intro because I really want you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the episode with with Chris. But I did want to jump in. I have a couple headlines here for things to talk about. I did it again. I jinxed San Diego State. Every team. I even tried the reverse jinx last week. And I was talking to Chris because he's from down over at San Diego. Oh, from San Diego is what I should say. He's. I told him, I was like, I tried to put the reverse jinx, pick UConn to win. That way, San Diego State would win. But that blew up in my face. The reverse jinx. I guess I went to the well one too many times, so that did not work. But honestly, hell of a run by San Diego State, though. I mean, and congrats to UConn. But San Diego State, though, I mean, they've never, everything was like a first for them. They hadn't made it to the Final Four. They hadn't made it to the championship. I'm honestly not even sure in school history if they've made it to the Elite Eight. So I may get roasted by people in the comments for not knowing that, but they're not my team, so apologies. But yeah, congrats to San Diego State for even making it there. First time in school history. Congrats to UConn for winning. Next one I had, Aaron still hasn't been traded yet. Closing in on the draft. I'm not exactly sure when that is. It's usually towards the end of April or like the third week of April. We'll see what happens. People are saying now it's probably going to be at the draft. Excuse me. But I don't know. I just want it to be done and over with. I want to know what we're getting. I want to know how many picks we're going to have because they definitely need it. I just don't get what the holdup is. I know it's like it's depending on the compensation, like what the picks are and stuff like that. But man, I just really want it to be done and over with. Like being a Packer fan, and I'm sure every Packer fan out there is just over the drama, like I am. We just want it to be done. Just tell us what we're getting. Give us the picks or whatever. I was hoping for a first round pick, but honestly, it doesn't seem like it's gonna happen. It would be sweet to have 2 first round picks though. But like I said, we'll see. Next thing is playoff hockey. It's on its way. I'm really excited. I mean, they just said the other day for the Avalanche, obviously being an Avalanche fan, that Gabriel Landeskog, the captain, should be back. They said he could potentially be in the first round. If they don't need him to be back in the first round, then they might be able to wait till the second. But I will be going over potential matchups because there's still about 4 or 5 games left, and there's a couple teams within a few points of each other, and especially in the West. But the East, I mean, man, the Boston felt like they won the President's Cup like 3 weeks ago. It feels like, but Boston just ran away with it. They look like the odds-on favorite, to win it all. But sometimes I can't remember the last time. And I'm probably totally wrong about this, but I can't remember the last time a team that won the President's Cup actually went on to win the Stanley Cup. I want to say it's been a while. I'll have to look at that, and I'll talk about that in the preview or in the intro for next week's episode. But I want to. I mean, it's been forever, but we'll see. But Boston looks like world beaters. I mean, in Tampa Bay, when you have Vasilevsky, you have Stamkos, you have all these guys. They're going to be tough to beat in the East too. Like, all they really have to do is those guys they get up for the playoffs. Like, they've already won 2 cups, and they've been to 3 straight. So, I mean, when it comes to the East, yeah, I know Boston has, that record right now, and I still think that Boston is the team to beat. But when it comes to Tampa Bay, you have to go through them to get in the East, or to win the East. But like I said, you never know. They're like, records and stuff like that are always meant to be broken, like or jinxes or anything like that. So we'll see. On baseball, things are going well for my Bravos right now. Not trying to toot anybody's horn, but they're looking pretty good. Did lose to San Diego last night. No big deal. Jared Schuster was really hoping he was gonna kind of perform a little bit better in his second start, but it was also his first start ever at home. Guy walks too many guys. They should have won yesterday, but is what it is. That's baseball, baby. I'm going to take one more sip of this one, and then we are going to jump into Brewski 2 because I legit crushed this 16-ouncer. Oh, that is good. All right. So we are going to jump into Brewski 2. All right. Brewski 2 here. We have, it's another one from Pure. Ooh, and this one's a double. Yep. Yeah, let's see. And pretty fresh, too. Let's see. This one's actually a really cool can. One thing I loved about Pure, and Chris and I talked about it, how like a lot of the stuff a lot of their cans, a lot of it has to do with nature. Like you see stuff in nature, or you'll see like scenery kind of stuff. It's really nice. I mean, they're really beautiful cans. This one, is called Waking Moments. It's a murky double IPA coming in at 8.3. Let's go. Let's see. I was checking to see if there's anything else here. Embrace the Merc. Got it. It's beach season. That's for Wolf, if you're listening. Cousin Wolfie. Let's crack her open, eh? Oh, yeah. You gotta love it, eh? Okay. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Well, this one's cloudier than the last. Oh, great head on it, too. Jeez. I don't know if there's any wrestling fans out there, but I am literally holding this, like with two hands, like smelling it, getting all in there. It's almost like Undertaker's urn that Paul Bearer used to walk around with. Oh, that smells delicious. Oh, and by any chance, if you guys hear any type of hum, I apologize. I'm recording in the garage at my sister's house, and they have one of those big freezers and a big fridge. Oh man, this is. Oh yeah, I'm gonna. I can't wait anymore. I was just enjoying that smell, and it smells delicious. But here we go. Let's jump on in. Water fine. Son of a bitch, man. Every time. And I wouldn't ever want to say anything bad about beer. I never would. And it's not like I could if I wanted to. Because every beer is so good. Man, we gotta pour a little bit more because I poured about half of that. I'm gonna jump on in just in case here. Oh, excuse me. Apologies. All right, well, this beer, the other one was a 9, that single, big fat 10 on this one. Or to quote the old episodes of Carrie J, big fat 10. I can't do it like he does, but try my best. All right, well, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Make sure you stick around after the interview I'm going to do a preview for the next week's episode. And also, don't forget to, Barnabas Stinson's Bro Code, article from the Bro Code. All right. Hope you guys enjoy the interview. Don't forget to follow Chris on Instagram, chris.thebeereducator, Chris Leguizamon. One awesome dude, really great guy, super down to earth, knows a ton about beer, and has some great stories. Make sure you check out his website, christhebeereducator.com. Enjoy the interview, guys. I'm here. This is another Instagram Spotlight episode with Chris.thebeereducator, Chris Leguizamon, from San Diego. How you doing today, bud?
Doing good, Mikey. How have you been?
I'm good. Just trying to get through life one beer at a time.
I feel that. Yeah, it's crazy, especially at the beginning of the new year. You're making all these crazy plans of like, which brewery am I going to go check out? What beer am I going to look for? And yeah, I appreciate being on this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I want to tell everybody about your the website that you have. It's christhebeereducator.com, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I started that last year, and just kind of one of those where building all the content, one place for people to find it, instead of just being like, yo, follow the IG. It felt a little bit more official.
Yeah, for sure. And I saw like one of the things I really liked on there when I went on that on the website was it's about Orval. The whole story, was it Matilda?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Countess of Tuscany. it's kind of cool, isn't it? Where like like with beer, and we'll get into this like a little bit deeper, but like there's so many little stories and history behind things where what
Mm-hmm.
I try to do on my platform is not just like advocate like go drink beer, but like find out a little bit behind that beer so you can understand it, have a reverence, see where it comes from, and then kind of bring it together. So when you finally crack it open and pour it into a glass, you're like, yo, that has a really cool backstory to it, right? And
Yeah.
it opens up conversations.
Yeah, and that's really cool. Yeah, when I saw that one, I was like, it was really like interesting to me because I saw like, well, when I was watching that video that you did, like, because it almost so clear. Like, so I wasn't too sure. I'd never had Orval before. So I was gonna say, yeah, maybe if you could tell me and tell the listeners, like, yeah, like a little bit about them.
Absolutely. So, in the world of beer, there's a small group. They're part of the strict order. It's a Cistercian group of monks, and they're called Trappists. And amongst those Trappist breweries, there are monks making beer within those abbeys, and there's different labels and things that they have to adhere to. But there's a small little brewery in Belgium, southeastern Belgium, that they make a beer unlike any other Belgian beer around. And it's inspired by English brewing from like the 18th, 19th century. And then it has some like cool Belgian twist to it because it's bottle conditioned with Brett, which I got myself a little Brett IPA, which we could talk about a little bit later. But
Awesome.
the cool thing about this little monastery is that they only make one beer, and it's Orval, and the beer changes as it ages. So every single bottle isn't the same, and that's counterculture to everything about beer. With
Yeah.
beer, you want to say, "Yep, that's Heartland Hazy IPA. I had it before. It tastes amazing now, just the way it tasted before." For this one, you want to see how it changes and how it is every single time you open it, and that kind of makes it special.
again?
So there's a cool history about how the monastery was built by Count the Countess of Tuscany, Matilda, where she dropped her ring in the lake, and then this fish brought it back up and gave it to her from its mouth. I don't know if it's true, but they
Yeah.
built the whole monastery after that. And it's a really cool story, and there's just small little tidbits of like how things developed, who made the beers, where they came from, who inspired them, and then what we're drinking today, which that's one of the classic beers. So my big thing is like, let's get people classically like into these classic styles, but
Yeah.
also appreciating the new stuff, like the stuff that we drink today.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, I feel like that's really cool. Like that's what I was saying. Like seeing like your site and then also reading what else you do on there, which we'll get into a little bit later. I just thought it was just like I've been drinking craft beer for a long time, like going all the way back to like this the Stone days. Um, but like now I just feel like it's growing like exponentially, and it's just it seems like every other week there's a new brewery opening up, which is awesome because it's people are getting their stuff out there.
Exactly. It's a crazy time, and I think a cool thing is like you're saying, Mikey, like there's so many new breweries and they're getting closer and closer to where you live, and
Yeah.
it's like I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I rock the Padres. No
Nice.
judgment.
Hey, there you go.
But hometown team. But like I see breweries with my hometown name on it, and I'm like, yo, those are the people that are from my town, living in the same city, making this beer that's in my hand in Pennsylvania, in San Diego. That's kind of cool, and the craft beer industry is so rad because it represents small cities and the greater good, the United States in general.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, to me, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's just about like, because you'll hear like different, like, I had a guest on who's the head brewers over at Long Beach Beer Lab a few episodes ago, or a few episodes back, and he was telling me about, the craft beer scene in like Israel. I was like, man, that's like, you never like hear that sort of stuff. So like he's actually going to be opening his own craft, craft brewery out there, I believe sometime early next year.
No way.
Yeah, so you just see it's growing everywhere. Like it's not just East Coast, West Coast, or just in America for that matter. Even Canada, you're seeing it more often now, and then you're seeing it. Yeah, I guess you're gonna be seeing it in Israel pretty soon too.
Israel, Mexico.
Yeah.
When I started craft beer back in like 2014, 2015, there were actually brewers from Chile who were paid by the government of Chile for tourism to go up to San Diego and to go to all these breweries to kind of pick their brains and see what they're doing and how they could learn how to be better brewers so that Chile's beer can also be on the map, just like their wine. And I was like, oh, smokes, like this is now 8-9 years ago. People are thinking that way, and countries are thinking that way, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's cool to hear because like like I said, like it's growing exponentially, it's growing everywhere. So should we like we always usually start the show? Should we crack open this brewski over here?
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Yeah, no, which one are you drinking today?
Yeah, so recently we had Alternate Ending Beer Co. They're out of New Jersey. They popped into our taste room down in North Park, Pure Projects North Park. And this is a Brett IPA with Phantasm. I've never had it. I'm excited to see what this is all about.
Nice. Yeah, and the one I'm doing today is the Harlan, the hazy IPA with the Azacca Citra. Azacca and Citra. Yeah. It's coming in at 7%, so it's pretty, I've had it once, but it's been a little while, but I remember it being pretty tasty.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cheers, Ben.
Cheers to you.
Oh yeah, that's some good stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty tasty.
Yeah, and we're also stash bros. So I mean, every time I get the head into the stash, it's always like that. Oh yeah. How long have you been in the craft beer industry?
Yeah, so I was that young, like 21-year-old at beer festivals, trying the beers. This is back in Pennsylvania in like Harrisburg area, like the capital.
Okay.
And we're at this festival, and I'm with my friends, and everyone's just like, "There's so many breweries." I'm like, "Yeah, this is awesome." And then, like, it was like, "Oh, here's a porter, and here's a porter," and I had it from both breweries. I'm like, "Wait a minute, like, what makes these different?" And back in the day, and some breweries do have that. Some beer festivals have this where the brewer comes in, or people that know a lot about the beer, such as educators, and they were like, "Oh, well, we do this temperature and like these type of grains." And I'm standing there as a 21-year-old like, so you're saying that this could be all different? Like, this is really artistic. Like, this is an artisan thing. And they're like, yeah, that's what craft beer is about. So from there, I was like, what makes these things different? And then after I graduated college, I had the opportunity to work at a battery factory. I'm from like that part of Pennsylvania. Okay. And I told my dad, and I was like, "Dad, this is super awesome, but I'm starting to work at a craft brewery here in Reading, Pennsylvania during the weekends and doing my internship during the week." This is June 2014. And after that summer was over, I was like, I could fly to San Diego and there's a bunch of breweries. I bet I could land on my feet. And he was like, "You're 23 years old. If you're going to do it now." Or you kind of like think about it twice and say, man, what would have been? So June 2014, Chatty Monks was the original brewery that I worked at my hometown of Reading, Pennsylvania. And then I started here at Mission Brewery in September of 2014.
Oh man, that's awesome. And how cool of your dad to be like, "Yeah, bro, go for it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, the worst thing could happen is you just come back home and work at the battery factory. And I was like,
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, if you, with a parent to be able to just do it, like, "Yeah, man, go for it," because like they know they'll be there for you, if something goes wrong. But, and even for you to take that risk and be like, "You know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get out there and try it out," and you made it happen.
100%. It's one of those where like when you're young and naive and the world's your oyster, and went for it. I'm first generation American, so my dad went from Colombia to the United States roughly at the same age, and he was like, "If I could do it without knowing the language, I think you can do it." So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. And one of the things I wanted to ask you too, so like growing up in Pennsylvania, like then coming over here, like, well, what was your first job in that brewery? Like, what were you, like, beer tending, or what were you doing?
Absolutely. So that original brewery in Pennsylvania, it was small. If you ever go to like Pure Project Miramar, like that small little tasting room, maybe a little bit longer, but not much. It was super tiny. I was a server. It was like a brew pub thing, and they had like their
Okay.
plastic fermenters in the basement. It was a mom and pop shop, and I was like the only employee that wasn't affiliated with any of the co-founders, right? So it's me and like, oh, that's my neighbor, that's my cousin, blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, thank you for having me. I'm just really happy
Yeah.
to be here. And then when I flew out here, I was applying to a bunch of different positions, back of the house, front of the house, and there was the ability to be a tour guide. And I was just like, I could tell people about beer. So that's where the tour guide position started.
Okay.
Mission Brewery, then I worked at Stone, then I worked at Alesmith as a tour guide, and eventually became a bartender. But for me, it always started with educating people on what beer is about so they can have a deeper appreciation of what's in their glass.
Of course. I mean, and that's, that's really cool. And that's like the perfect, kind of story. Because like when you really started to teach about beer, because one of the things, we saw is like, one of the, you mentioned Pure Brewing. One of the things you do there's it's education program manager, right?
That is correct.
And
Yes.
what I'm curious for myself, like, what does that entail? Like, what are you doing there? Are you like, obviously like there's people brewing there and all that sort of stuff, but like, what are you teaching there?
I think that's the crazy part is that when this whole thing started, so I started with Pure Project 2019, January of 2019. It's been 4 years and some change, right? And maybe 7 of us, no, maybe less. There's probably like 13 of us, like from owners to brewers to people working the front of the house. Like we were tiny. We're just a small little spot making some really delicious murky IPAs. And me being a beer judge at Alesmith for homebrew competitions, they would come out with the new releases. It's 2 new beers every 2 weeks. And I would smell it. I'd be like, yo, did you pick up that like stone fruit, little citrus undertone? The texture of this one's a little different from the previous one. And they were like, hey, Chris, could you do that with the next release too? Could you just talk about them to the staff? And I'm like, yeah. Like, yeah, sure. Like, so then I just kept doing that. And we just kept talking about flavors and sensory and building our own palettes. And as time grew on, we opened our second location, our third location, our fourth location. Now we have 5 locations. We release 2 new beers every 2 weeks. And those bartenders are on it. And how are they on it? I am working directly with the back of the house. And I'm saying, what did you do in this beer that makes it unique? What makes this brand different from any of the murky IPAs that we're releasing for the rest of the year? What's up with this pub ale? What makes this Saison a Saison? And then I try to digest it a little bit easier for the staff to be really, really comfortable in what we're serving. So that when you go into one of the tasting rooms, you're like, and it happens kind of pretty often in the beer world, where you walk in and you're like, hey, like, what's up with that IPA, or whatever it may be. And the staff kind of looks back and they're like, no one tells me anything here. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just serving the beer.
I'm just serving the beer. Why did you ask me, And for me, I put myself in the shoes of beer fans just like yourself, where you walk in, you've always wanted to be here, and you want that really awesome guest experience.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to provide through education, through confidence, so that you pick the right beer and feel good, feel comfortable. If you want something else, if you need suggestions, that staff is so well-rounded. So kudos to them. They're putting in the effort. I'm just giving them all the information, and they get to choose what they like. And every bartender's different. So yeah. That's what I do for the most part.
That's so cool though, because you do hear that a lot. Like, I was, have you ever been to Unsung Brewing?
Oh yeah. It's close to the Packing District, right?
Yeah. So like, I had owner Mike on, was actually the first episode when I rebranded. He would tell me that, like, yeah, he would get people that come in sometimes and they're like, oh, well, I'm not really an IPA guy, or I'm not really a stout guy or anything like that. They'd be like, oh, but so they, sometimes, some breweries do cater to, like, they'll do seltzers and stuff like that. Like I think every brewery does that now. But he would talk to me, he was talking to me about how, yeah, some guys come in there, or girls for that matter too. They're like, oh, well, like, which one, like, what's a good starter? Like, what to kind of, like, their gateway drug into beer. You know,
Please tell me, which one is it?
yeah. So I mean that's really cool because yeah, sometimes you're like, oh, you know, there are people they're like, oh man, I'm not sure what's your style, but I mean there are some really good beer tenders out there that are like, oh yeah, what are you into? You know, or this will pair really well with this. You know,
Oh, 100%.
yeah. But I absolutely adore Pure. I'm trying to remember the one specifically we went to. There was, I don't remember what location it was, but across the way they had the pizza maker over there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Balboa
It must
Park,
have
Pure
been.
Project, yeah, Pure Project
Yeah.
Balboa Park. Oof, that's a
Man,
vibe. That's a
dude,
vibe.
yeah, it's so good. I think well, it wasn't this past because we went this past year, but we went for my birthday and I got a little I got a little shitty over at Pure. But yeah, the year before I think they were making that mango smoothie one, and I remember that being pretty good. Smoothies are. I mean, I don't drink them as often as I used to. I've really kind of gotten more into hazies
Yeah,
and stuff like that. But that's like I said, that's really cool. I mean, I love Pure. And do you go to all the locations? Because I know there's quite a few.
yeah. So part of my job, and that was the mango lassi that we did, and it was like it's like 2,800 pounds of organic mango in
Yeah.
that. And and that's a Pure Project way. It's like, yo, if we're gonna make smoothies, we're gonna use organic fruit.
Oh,
And
for
everyone's
sure.
like, you know, organic is more expensive. We're like, we've been doing organic spices, fruit since day one. So, but yeah, I kind of bounce around through all the tasting rooms. It's one of those where like, as much as you want to preach, teach, and do all that, if you're not in the trenches with people side by side,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard. You're kind of like talking at them instead of talking with them. So that's one of the main things that I do is I'll jump behind the bar, and I'm the same person that is an advanced Cicerone, education program manager, judges the Great American Beer Festival, but I'm also the one cleaning tables, bussing, cleaning the bathrooms at the end of the night with my staff, you know? And then when we have a little bit of downtime, we look at the board and we're like, all right, how have you noticed that you can kind of connect these two together? We use the same hops and texturally, these kind of fit together. And they're like, yo, I never thought about connecting a German style Pilsner, a West Coast IPA, and a farmhouse Saison together. And I'm like, yeah, because when you sip them, they're both really, really dry.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? So it's pretty cool. But when we're behind the bar, we're just having fun. We're asking each other. We're listening to each other. We're trying to provide the best customer experience. So yeah, I'm at most tasting rooms at least once a month. I'm primarily in that Carlsbad Vista dominance, if you will.
Okay. And but you said we're talking about that saison and the Pilsner like having those all that sounded pretty amazing. Yeah.
They have every style you can imagine. Kind of like you were saying at the beginning with like, I'm not a stout person, I'm not an IPA person.
Yeah.
There's everything on that board at Pure Project. And if you haven't been, for the people tuning in, just pop in. You'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, because even my brother, the last time we were there, like we got, I want to say we got triples. I think there was a quad that we did too. And the quad, I was like, yeah, I got put over the edge there a little bit. But I was like, man, because I think we hit like 4 or 5 different breweries that day. And Pure just so happened to be the last one. And then we went with the quad and I was done after.
Yeah,
But
hopefully you're
good.
eating pizza. You're just like, yo,
Oh yeah,
this
the
is the best pizza I've ever had.
Oh, it is. No, that one because that location introduced me to the hot honey on the pizza. Man, I was just like died and God went to heaven eating that stuff. Man, it was so good. And then to pair it with the beer, you know, even better.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. We've had a lot of fun down there. Urban's been so good to us. And yeah, it's pretty cool. North Park Beer Co. Their new location's only 2 blocks away, and they have a kitchen too.
Yeah.
So it's one of those that like it almost becomes now a destination where people are like, let's go to Pure Project Balboa, and then let's go 2 blocks north, get like a fried chicken sandwich and a hot foo or whatever. So it's rad.
we were actually there just before we went to Pure.
Oh, no way.
That day, yeah. So we that day we hit Coronado because Coronado is one of the usually ones we hit there. Yeah, Coronado, Second Chance, one of my favorites. Love Second Chance. Yeah. Then I want to say it was North Park, and then Pure. I'm probably missing one, and I'm sorry for
That's
missing
all
the
good.
name of your brewery, but or one of the breweries. But yeah, it's so awesome down there. I love San Diego so much. Um,
Is that?
yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna ask because you're wearing a beer judge shirt, so I kind of wanted to ask how you got into that too, because you was like judging homebrews and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. So when it all like it my journey through craft beer has been a unique one. I try to shine a light on my journey
Mm-hmm.
and possible avenues that people can take because not every avenue is meant for everybody, if that makes sense, right?
No, exactly.
So when I was at Alesmith, Stone, Chatty Monks, everyone was trying to be a Cicerone, certified Cicerone level 2. And I remember everyone's like, Chris, I'm gonna be straight up. I don't think you'll ever reach that level. And I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so this is unattainable.
All
And then I
right.
found out there was a staff, there was a taste room, the Stone in Pasadena, where 80 or 90% of them were certified Cicerones.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked, and I'm really competitive. So I'm like, you know what? Yo, let's make it happen then. So I'm studying my butt off, and then I go to Alesmith. It's new higher orientation, and we're walking by the back, and the person walking me was like, oh, they're having a BJCP study group. I was like, BJCP? I actually have no clue what that is. And they're like, that's a beer judge certification program. It's an international certification where you judge homebrew and international professional competitions.
Oh wow.
And I was like, so it's not Cicerone. And they're like, no, it's not Cicerone. What's Cicerone? And I was like, okay, so these are two different avenues that I've never heard of, like Cicerone, but then BJCP came in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So with BJCP, it's an online exam. I think it's 30 minutes. I think it's 60 questions. You get 3 tries for $20, something of that nature. But it's more of the like sensory driven, how to make beer better, understanding water, malt, procedures, yeast, hops, hop rates, when you add in the hops, what type of hops. It's a really cool, satisfying thing. So I started doing that at Alesmith and in conjunction started working on my certified Cicerone. And between those, I was a BJCP judge, certified Cicerone, and kind of bringing them together. I don't think they should be two different paths. I think they should intertwine. And when you do that, that's how you become a better beer professional, in my opinion. So just judging homebrew, other people's beer that they make inside their house,
Mm-hmm.
and slowly building up the recognition, making classes for people so they know the off flavors in beer. It ended up just growing. And then last year, my biggest like dream thing I've ever done in my entire life, which was judge the Great American Beer Festival. And I think we judged 80 beers a day. So it kind
Oh
of
wow.
sounds like your birthday, but
Yeah.
it was, I was exhausted. We did close to like 240 beers. I think it was like 240 beers after 3 days. It was wild, but it was fun. It was really fun. But yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all doable. If I could do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Between Cicerone and BJCP, they're both really great programs. If you use them both, you're maximizing.
That's that's so cool, and that's like such an awesome like kind of story to hear when it comes to like, especially because I feel just like this is like our and for the listeners, this is the first time you and I talking to each other. We haven't like rehearsed this or anything like that. We exchanged messages on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
but hearing you tell me like how people like doubted you or like I am the same way. Like if
Yeah.
somebody tells me, "Oh, dude, you can't do that. Like you're not going to be able to do that." Like, "Oh, bullshit. I'm not going to be able to do that." Like I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure you see me do that so I can, do that. So that's really awesome. And I mean, and it just shows to anybody listening that, if you really want something, sometimes you just need that motivation. Like you left, right after you were a 23-year-old kid, went up to San
Mm-hmm.
Diego, did that. Somebody told you couldn't do this one thing, and now look at you.
Absolutely. And just know if someone else can do something, you can do it.
Yeah.
It takes discipline, takes effort, and I'm telling you, you'll know your max and your potential when you're already in it. It's not just talking about it, be about it, do it, live it, be it, and you're just gonna be like, I'm sitting at the same judging table as the guy who wrote tasting beer.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And it just happened because judging homebrew, getting to know people, and just leveling up on my own self and trying to level up other people and just kind of guiding them.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
That's so cool, man. And just for like, because I think of like listeners, some of them may not be educated in craft beer, or some may not be. But the when it comes to, I think they can determine what a beer judge is. But what could you describe to them what like an actual cicerone is?
Yeah, so beer judging is sensory and evaluating and giving feedback. For Cicerone came from, I think it was like 1997, 1998. Ray Daniels, a really famous beer writer based in Chicago, he's sitting down and he's going to a bar, tries the beer, is like, there's something wrong with this beer, and I think it's the lines are dirty. Like, they're slightly tart, it's slightly buttery. This is a great beer, but just poorly handled from the front of the house. So what BJCP did, which was focusing on the production side of things, Cicerone was focusing on the front of the house, the service, the hospitality. So I think it's based off of 5 different disciplines, where the draft system. Can you understand how everything is served from the keg, the coupler, to the faucet? From beer styles, understanding the different ranges between beer styles. There's like 120 different beer styles. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of understand the gist of them? From there, how's the process of the brewing? That's a 3rd level. Food and beer pairing, which is another hospitality. So he really tried to combat it as a sommelier, where sommelier, they come in, they know the different regions, they know the different wines, but also they could create beautiful dinners. That's another thing. And then last but not least, there's a 5th one, but we digress. But yeah, so, and just pure sensory from like off flavors and be able to discern that. So it's a really cool thing. The first level is like $70. I think it's an hour. If not, it's 30 minutes as well. Second level, it's $400. I think it's 4 hours. Third level, which is what I have, and there's 15 in the state of California and like 156 in the world. It's an 8-hour or 10-hour exam, but it's like essays, the whole 9, face-to-face interviews. But yeah, it's more of the front of the house. A lot of people in the front of the house get it. I've seen some people in the back of the house, which is cool. I think BJCP works better for them. But that being said, if you're in the front of the house, it's good to know both programs and try to maximize on both.
That's really cool, man. I mean, it's educational for me too, because me and my brother, he actually works for Brewery X.
Heck yeah!
Over in Anaheim. I was like super proud of him this week. He just did the can artwork for their new signature series can, the Dictionary Roulette, their double, because it became a double. So super happy for him. But him and I have actually gone to Windsor, taken a couple classes there.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. So yeah, we really want to do that, and we want to get one of those Brewzillas to try to, because love drinking this stuff. Never made it before. I tried once, like maybe back in like 2006 with one of those. My cousin had the Mr. Brew kit, and I helped him like pour some hops in there, maybe. But I mean, that was the extent of my brewing.
You learn to appreciate things, for me, like, just recently we were in a family get together, and they're like, what's one goal of yours for this year? And for me, it's learning to appreciate things that I don't appreciate, like being straight up frank. Like, I never understood why people love Italian food. Like, people love Italian food. And I'm it's tomato, it's garlic, basil, some olive oil, and pasta. And they're like, well, yeah, but there's cheese. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So one big thing is like, I don't have an appreciation for pasta yet, but what if I learned how to make pasta? And then you're like, oh, homemade pasta versus store-bought frozen or hard pasta, maybe you might appreciate it more. So for people who look at beer in such a way where they're like, Dude, come on. You really can't make a good beer? Try to
Yeah.
make one and
Yeah.
see, okay, that's how good you have to be to get to that level. So it creates a better, deeper appreciation. So if you haven't, ask one of your friends, they probably homebrew and say, yo, let me help you clean while you do this. And they'll be like, yo, come through. I got your
Yeah.
breakfast burrito right here.
There you go.
Trust.
Yeah, and I always try to like, anytime I go to talk to like either an owner or brewer or anything like that, I always love to ask them like about like stuck mash, like have you ever had one? I know stuff like that, and just like other kind of like, and the one thing that they always tell me is that like it's like cleaning is like almost all the work, and but that little bit of the brewing side is what makes it worth it. Like when you actually get to do it, the cleaning is the tough job.
It's a lot of cleaning. It's a lot of sanitation. The last thing you want to do is like just have something contaminated, and you're just like, oh, yo, what happened there? Oh, I forgot to clean it, and you're like, okay, you should just clean it. So yeah, it's a lot of cleaning. A lot of people say like brewers are janitors, but when you get to that final product and you finally try it, and they brought hops from New Zealand, from Germany, from here in the United States, domestic, either Michigan or Pacific Northwest. They brought grains from all around the world, water from the city, and they brought it all together in this crazy fermentation. And to have that final product, even though you had it clean for 6 or 8 hours, and you're just like, dang, that came out really good. I think people are going to be juiced on this. And the label comes out great, dude. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
I love like good can artwork. I feel like because how I kind of rate when I rate my beers, it's always like it could be 1 or 10 or up to 10, or if we say big fat 10, is usually what it goes up to. But I mean, yeah, there's times where like the beer's like right there, and then like that can artwork just kind of sets it off too, because I feel like that's that's a part of it. It's a part of the whole thing, because seeing that can is what can draw somebody in. They may not be super into like hazies or New England IPAs or double IPAs, single IPAs, or anything like that. But then they see that like, oh, that's a cool can. I might want to try that. And then because they've been kind of deterred before because of maybe a bad experience or anything like that, or just because they maybe think every IPA is the same. And it's not, because like you said, it's like, it could be a different hop, because, you can grow one hop in one region and one hop in another region, and it's a completely different flavor profile.
110%.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like it's cool when everything kind of comes together, when you find that badass kind of like 8-bit brewing. I feel like they knock it out of the park
They knock it out every single time. Every single time. We get some of their stuff here in San Diego. I mean, they're close by, but we get
not too far.
some of their stuff at Vine and Vine, and they'll post it. And I'm like, yo, that art came out sick, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where craft beer is, where there's 10,000 craft breweries in the nation plus,
Yeah.
There's 160 here in San Diego County, and as like a San Diego Brewers Guild board of director, I'm starting to understand like how many there really are. But you got to have that balance. Your customer service has to be really good. When that guest experience, your beers have to be at a certain level. They have to taste amazing. They have to be of good quality, and then that artistic aspect, that can art, the texture of the label. Like Pure Project even textures their label, which is even crazy.
No, I love those, yeah.
And that's a little bit more money, but it's how do you separate yourself? How do you hit all those facets? Back in the day, you could just put a letter on there and say, hey, that's my beer. And they knew who you was, so they would just drink it. And they'd be like, wow, that's a really good beer. But nowadays, you have to hit it from every single angle to maximize, and
Definitely.
Shout out to breweries just like that. 8-Bit is one of the better. Like we went there, their food's phenomenal.
It's just so good.
Phenomenal. And their beers are incredible. Yeah, they're doing a really great job. The artwork's fantastic too.
Yeah, and I'm glad that other people, like all the listeners, get to hear somebody else say that besides me, because I'm always hyping up 8-Bit about that. So yeah, it's great. But one thing I love about Pure though, I love their cans because they're always like nature kind of based. I always see like, there's so many different ones that I've had on the show because way back when it was still taps and tailgates, I would go up to, there's a liquor store up in Azusa that I would kind of plug all the time, and they would, give us some beers to take home.
Yeah.
And it was Pure, tried it there, and then we went down to Pure, and then it was just like a game changer. So now like a Pure is in the rotation of breweries every time we're down in San Diego.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. All kudos to the marketing side, to our co-founders Matt, Jesse, Winslow, doing marketing, doing business, and brewing beer. Like they just have that vision, and so Winslow's the head brewer,
Okay,
and co-founder, and I was like, yo, Winslow, this beer that you just released this week, the recipe's phenomenal. This is one of the best versions of Diamond Dust. And he's like, thank you so much. I'm already thinking about like this. We're in April. He's already thinking November. Like he's
awesome.
finalizing recipes for November and then some. So they're putting in that work, and it's cool to like catch them and say, hey, dude, this week's release, dude, unreal.
Yeah.
So
to me, that's so cool too, because kind of like just to kind of coming back to what everything you had kind of gone through on your journey, and now with like you're saying with Winslow, like you want to take it to different places. I want to go over here, and I want to go over there, and I'm gonna see what's behind that corner over there. You're kind of like you're not just settling. You want to do more. You want to go as far as you can, obviously, and because clearly you love what you do. I mean, and that 100%. To me is, that's what this is all about. Because I have my own regular job, but like if I can, but I can do this, and I can sit here and I can have a conversation with you, and we can have a beer, and we don't have to be in front of each other because you're down in San Diego, and I'm up here in near LA. So it's like, but to be able to do something like this for me is just, it's awesome to be able to have this conversation and hear a lot of stuff that I might not have known about, or maybe my listeners didn't know about.
Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, where technology has kind of sped things up and it's kind of crazy, and there's a lot of breweries right now, but at the end of the day, like beer kind of just brings people together. We kick back, relax, your shoulders kind of like relax a little bit, and just like, hey, like we both appreciate the same craft, and we could just kick it. That's all it is. For
sure, man. And you mentioned being one of the on the board of directors for the Brewers Guild. Like how does that come about? Like how do you even get onto the Brewers Guild? Like that just seems like it's just like that seems like a monumental type of accomplishment. I feel like
it is. So my tenure just started in January. So we're just getting started. You put your name in. And there's a whole voting. There's 160 different breweries in the guild, plus affiliates. And affiliates don't get a vote, but breweries vote, and they say, hey, I want this person to represent us for the next 2 years. And I was lucky enough to be chosen. I think I'm one of 12. And right now we're just going through a really unique time where we've been a guild since, I think, 98.
Okay.
I think 98. We're one of the bigger ones in the nation, and there's like the LA Guild, the San Francisco Guild, Arizona Guild. But for us right now is we're looking at it and we're like, what are we doing right now? What do we need to change? How do we evolve? How do we shed a light on what craft beer is all about here in San Diego? How do we get more people involved? And I always think about this from like 2,000 feet up in the air is, let's say me and you, Mikey, we're like the small percentage of people who are like looking at the IGs, following all these different breweries, really being like, damn, that release coming out this weekend? Okay, maybe I do got to drive up to Homage. But then the vast majority is just like, oh, I didn't even know I had a brewery down the street, So I'm trying to pull back and say, what are we doing, and how can we bring more awareness to craft beer and just get more people involved to appreciate local business, right? So right now we're kind of changing things up. If you don't follow us already, it's at SD Beer. But we're going to be changing up the game and just kind of seeing, hey, how could festivals be better? How can merchandise. How can we make a bigger impact in not just in the beer community, but the whole community at large? How can we offset our plastic? How can we be just better businesses? So it's also just voluntary, so I don't get paid to do it.
Yeah. But it's
But
something
it's
you
really
love, though.
cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really cool. So it's a group. It's a great group right now. And yeah, just if you're listening, tuning in from as a brewery or someone who works at a brewery in San Diego and you're part of the guild, you could sign up for the emails. You get all the blasts of like internal members only meetings and stuff. So there's a lot of cool benefits. But yeah, we're just gonna try to create more awareness at the community at large.
That's awesome. And then like you were saying, like when it comes to all the like just trying to get other people involved, like maybe like the casual beer drinkers, like you know, talking about improving festivals and stuff like that, or you know, marketing or anything like that. I'm sure, yeah, because sometimes, yeah, like those, if you can get those people in, like the casual beer drinkers, that's like, but then even then, sometimes you can pull those people in with seltzers because seltzers are still super popular. I feel like everybody has one right now. I mean, even Sunny Delight has one. I just saw that the other day. I was like, Sunny D's making seltzers now, or making vodka Sunny D's now. I was like, oh, geez. But
Sunny D, I'm surprised. We're not gonna say anything.
Yeah,
yeah. You know, everyone's adapting. Everyone's keeping up, dog.
Definitely, man. It's crazy. But honestly, man, this has been super fun, and I don't want to keep you too long. But I did want to. There's one segment that I always like to talk about, and you know, you can talk about multiple things. It's called Locals Only. And you know, I love San Diego. Like I always have my favorite spots, like Old Town Mexican Cafe and a few other places. But do you have a favorite, like, so maybe a couple hidden gems in San Diego that not as many people, you know, talk about? Yeah, so if somebody's down there.
Just off the cusp, let's do it.
Yeah, any beers or like bars or, you know, maybe just upstart brewers that just started or food places to go get some food?
So there's this, like, in North Park. So everyone... On 30th, there's a lot of breweries. You got like Belching Beaver. You got the Mike Hess around the corner. Modern Times at the very bottom. All those have like small little trifectas. So you go to the Friendly. It's on 30th and Adams, close to 30th and Adams. So you go to the Friendly. You get a dirty flat top burger. You get a slice of pizza, and it's the most umami-rich garlic mayo like burger that you're just gonna have, and your kind of veins and arteries kind of tighten up, and you're just like, whew, okay, this is good. So you go there, you then have a beer at Fall Brewing, and then you could grab a cocktail at Polite Provision or Swan Bar, and then across the street you could get the best gelato you've ever had in the nation at Ann's Dry Cleaning, and that's maybe half a block away from each other.
That's awesome.
That's a 1, 2, 3 combo.
Yeah.
I've done that many times. So you can go to Cantina Maywell for really good margaritas. Best burger joint, which I know everyone's gonna have their. Do you have a favorite burger spot, Mikey, in San Diego?
You know,
I put you on blast.
Every time I go out there, like me and my brother, like because way back when we would just drive down there just to have breakfast at Old Town Mexican Cafe and then drive back. So we would do that stuff way back when. But yeah, so honestly, don't really eat burgers when I go down there. But I've always, like, anytime I do go somewhere or travel somewhere, I always Google, like, oh, where's the best burger in this city or anything like that. But yeah, so usually my normal spots when I do go down there are, Old Town. I love the little root beer and jerky shop because I love root beer. That it's in Old Town. And then was it the one Don Trattoria? It's like an Italian place, but you mentioned not being the biggest Italian fan before. But I love that one. So, and you know, honestly, like the Mexican food in San Diego is just, you know, so
Top
good.
notch.
Yeah,
Top
it's
notch.
delicious.
Society just opened up a spot in Old Town. So
did they?
They opened it up maybe 3-4 months ago.
Wow.
Keep your eyes peeled. It's right there on the cusp. So a lot of people just going to try to highlight that a little bit more, especially as summertime comes along. Because Old Town is such a fan favorite. It's super close. Check out Society. It's close by now. But what you need to do, Mikey, I'm going to put that on your radar.
Sweet.
Hayes Burger.
All right.
Hayes Burger. It's
Okay.
in Barrio Logan, which is the oldest neighborhood in San Diego. You come in, it is get the double or double cheeseburger with the
Yeah.
chiles added,
Okay.
and then you're close to Chicano Park, which is like just this cultural haven for Mexican American culture, and then you're maybe a block and a half away from Cuatro Milpas.
Okay.
Cuatro Milpas. If you go on Netflix right now, and it's tacos, I think it's called Taco USA.
Okay.
And there's a San Diego one. They talk about Cuatro Milpas, and
Nice.
it's still one of those spots for like 40, 60 years. Line out the door. They close at 2:00, and it's just that like old school red, white, like tough tablecloth.
Okay.
And dude, and
Yeah.
then dude, go there, snap the photo, tag your boy.
Yeah.
It's a gem. It's a gem. You're gonna say, I didn't know. I wasn't aware. But yeah, that's a locals only. Hayes Burger, Las Cuatro Milpas.
Yeah.
2 blocks away from each other. There's a great brewery on the other side called not Border X. They're called I forget what they're called. It's not Border X. That's Brewery X. Border X. I think,
I think it is.
They're called Border X. They're called
I've
Border X.
seen that one. Haven't been there yet because I don't know if you're familiar. There's a brewery up here, but it's in Pico Rivera, and I interviewed one of the co-owners there, Augustine. It's called Brujeria, but he mentioned all the guys at Border X, and he said they're all really great people.
Yep, Border X. And then they also have like a side thing with Mujeres Brewhouse.
Okay.
Which is close by too. All woman owned, all woman ran. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in Barrio Logan. So that's
awesome.
a come up. That's a come up.
Yeah, and we'll have to chat off recording because I do want to because do want to get more women involved in the show because I feel like they're starting really starting to blow up. I feel like for women in craft beer.
Absolutely.
So I mean that's like for me it's a goal to get more people. I'd love to get the people the women from Pink Boots and all that sort of stuff. But before we do finish up the show because this has been a blast. I'm going to crack open this one here. This is from Hermosa Brewing Company. It's called Hazy AF. It's a New England IPA. Oh, 6%. Not too bad. But I like the can, though. It's got a surfboard on it, so you can surfer on there. Yeah. Oh, but you mentioned not being the biggest Italian food fan. Do you have like a specific type of food that you like, or is it that?
Yeah, I love Thai food.
Okay.
Thai food, because I grew up in Pennsylvania, so like I never had Thai food. I never had Filipino food. I never had Korean, Vietnamese, and you come out here, and I'm born and raised rice beans, chuleta, little pork chop right there.
Yeah.
And then like if it was a great day, mom had like some tostones, which is like plantains that are pressed.
Okay.
And maybe like a little avocado on the side. So I grew up with that, and then like on Fridays we ate like Pizza Hut. So
Yeah.
I came out here
Same.
and I'm like, yo, what's Thai food?
Yeah.
First off, what's Vietnamese food? And this has been one of those cool experiences where get out of your comfort zone and you're just like, whoa, this is really freaking cool. So just like craft beer, I've just been exploring different culinary adventures, different how people interpret food from different parts of the world. It's been cool. It's been real cool. But I love Mexican food. If you ever have a chance, cross that border, go to TJ, Tacos de Frank. Super iconic. It's on Netflix. They're on there as well. Go down to Ensenada. Go to Popotla. Go eat like the fishermen come up and whatever they caught that day on just like plastic tables. They're cutting up, tossing in ceviche, making tacos out of it. Boom. I went there with my dad and my sisters, and my dad ordered something, and they ran out of it. So they went straight to the docks, picked up some more, and just went to town. And I was like,
awesome.
What? It was cool. It was cool. That's as fresh as it gets.
That's really cool, man. And like I said, this has been so much fun because you never, never really get to hear stories like this. So I mean, it was really a blast for you
Absolutely.
coming on, and we're definitely gonna have to do it again.
Absolutely. Anytime. Run back.
Definitely want to come down to San Diego and hang out and have a few beer with you, Winslow, or whoever, anybody over at Pure, because that place, like I said, get on down to Pure. There's multiple locations. How many total? You said there's 4 or 5?
We got 5 now, which is kind of crazy.
It's growing like crazy, yeah. But I mean, I just feel like, yeah, Pure has become way more accessible, and it's like, and you know, thank God for it, because their beer is just phenomenal. Every time I've had one, I don't think I've had one that I've given a ranking of like a 7.5 or less. Everything's been above that, and a lot of them are big fat 10s. To be honest with you, but you know,
And we're just getting started. And kind of like what you were saying with like accessibility. Like I was there when line out the door canceled out in like 2-3 hours, and people would drive down from Las Vegas on that Sunday, and they're like, "Do you have anything?" And we're like, "No, like you could get off a draft."
yeah,
And yeah, we slowly started growing. We're just like, hey, like let's get these beer out to people, you know. And we got some sick beer coming out, but we also have some really cool initiatives, cleaning up the community and just trying to be better businesses around us. But yeah, we're doing some really big things. Purebrewing.org. Not to be too much of a fanboy of the place I work, but check out the newsletter. You could order beer; it gets shipped directly to your house in California, and yeah, we're doing some really big things. Got some really big collaborations, which I can't say right now, but
can't wait.
Off the cusp, I'm like, okay, all right, yo, that summertime collab is gonna be cool. So
Sweet.
keep your eyes peeled. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
For sure, man. Well, yeah, Chris, thank you again. This has been honestly so much fun. I know you got stuff to do. You're a busy man. You got a lot of stuff going on, but this has been an absolute blast for me and pleasure. Thank you again for coming on the show.
Absolutely, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for letting me be part of it.
Yeah, and if you want to plug your Instagram and your website one more time.
Oh yeah, so if you don't follow already, Chris.thebeereducator. What I'm trying to do is just educate people a little bit about beer. I'm an open book if you want to know about different journeys you can take throughout the beer world. There's a lot of opportunities, and kind of like Mikey was saying, we're going to be building a better platform. So people of different genders, people from different backgrounds, this is a platform for you. So I'm here to help. I'm an open book. Just DM me. Don't be afraid. And then christhebeereducator.com. That's kind of where I post everything. So if you want to see my virtual beer book club and all of the different projects I've done and podcasts just like this, it'll also be on the website. A lot easier to track.
For sure, man. Yeah, like I said, thank you again. This has been a phenomenal episode, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Stick around Take care, Chris. Thanks.
You too, bud.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Chris. Like I said, it was a really fun episode with me. I can't wait to have him on again. Can't wait to go down to where he lives. Not going to disclose where he lives, but I can't wait to go down and visit him down near San Diego, have some beers, have a good time. There's a few breweries we want to hit up that he was telling me about. So we're definitely, when we were chatting offline. Also for a preview for next week. So next week's episode, I'm actually recording today, which is Saturday. But I did want to talk, just kind of give you guys a preview of it. I was supposed to be recording with Kauea. Oh, yeah, Kauea, something like that. I apologize if I butchered that. Up here in Tulare in the Central Valley. So up here with, my sister and the kiddos and my brother-in-law. I'm actually going to be recording with my brother-in-law, Josh. He's going to be on the episode. And going to be recording with his buddy, Jarrett. Great guy. Both great guys. But yeah, everything kind of, it fell through a little bit towards the last minute with Kauea. But we're going to get the owner on. He actually still, even though the owner couldn't be on, so that's why we postponed it. So we're going to actually get together in July. And so the owner can be on and tell us the whole story of everything. But got to meet Denny, who's like, one of the heads over there at Kauea. And also got to talk to their head brewer a little bit, Mike. Super nice people, like really great people. I will talk about that on the next episode. So that'll be airing next Sunday. But before we do, like we always do, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode again. And we're going to end it. Oh, and of course, I dropped the bro code. I just broke the law. Dropped the bro code. I'm going to lie, Mike's had a few beers. might be a little buzzed. I'm going to actually take a little sip of this sucker. Oh, yeah. All right. So an article from the Bro Code. Article 11. A bro may ask his bros to help him move, but only after first disclosing an honest estimate on both commitment and number of large pieces of furniture. If the bro has vastly underestimated either, his bros retain the right to leave his possessions where they are, in most cases, stuck in the doorway. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Make sure you tune in for next week's. You guys take care.